love and peace, family. So I am Jamin Brian Heron, and I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, and Concord. About myself, I am a artist, entrepreneur, free thinker, uh, health and wellness enthusiast. I promote financial freedom, health and wellness to my people. Um, I am a light being by spirit and a Pan African by heart.
Islam family, Islam. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and love. First I rise in the spirit of seven. I give. My name is Dr. Moscow Benjamin Bey. I give all honors to and praise to Father God Allah. I give honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honors to his forerunner Marcus Garvey. I give honors to everybody that's on this live broadcast right now, and all you brothers right here that gave us a chance to get this platform going. And I give honors to all the Moors. I give honors to our divine constitution, Moorish constitution. And I give honors to all Moors here, there, and everywhere. Islam. Again, my name is Dr. Moscow Benjamin Bey. I'm from Concord, North Carolina. Excuse me, I'm a divine minister in the Moorish American government, different from the Moorish Science Temple, as many relate Moorish to, but we all get our lessons out of the Science Temple. But I came into my knowledge about 3 years ago when I knew something was wrong with being done in the justice system by police, local police. I knew something was wrong because I was never in the wrong, and I kept going in. So it led me on a journey of understanding law, and in the understanding that, I started studying my leaders that came before me, which led me to the Science Temple when I ran across a brother who was interested in letting me know who I was and who I am and who I am not. So with that being said, gratitude for the opportunity to speak. Islam.
All right. Peace. This is Dejan Israel. Just letting y'all know that I came into this knowledge of who I was. I'm originally from Concord, Kannapolis, but I moved up here to Minnesota around 2015. I had got married. I have two little daughters now, but what brought me into this knowledge, I've been studying Black history. I've been studying Pan-African history since I was a teenager. So what really brought me to this knowledge is that I saw the atrocities, I saw the wickedness that the European dominating system has done to our people. So it made me find more answers to how to fix and resolve the issues that plague our community. I'm a deep Pan-Africanist. I love my people. I'm a revolutionary. I love studying. I love helping our people. Love helping the people get to what we need to get to as a people. So that's my overall mission: the liberation of African people worldwide, here and in the diaspora.
Yeah, my name is Walt Dobbins. Currently, is what I'm being called. I want to say peace and love to you guys. Y'all all have been influencers, so I want to start by saying that, and that I'm very excited to hear y'all in person and kind of help me get out of my shell. Let's get this one-on-one building with with some other people. But a little bit about myself. I came into the field of health first. I wasn't really aware of history as much as you guys. But what I did was I had an incident about 6 years ago where I found myself in with undesirable conditions, and a friend of mine recommended that I take black seed oil. It was something that simple. So I did a little research about it, and I ran into Dr. Sabi. And being the person that I am, always wanting to know why and how things work, uh, someone recommending black seed oil to me led me into studying Dr. Sabi, then going and studying Dr. Laila Africa, and a host of other people on health. And what I began to learn was that I couldn't really comprehend what they were saying. I got a very vague, very broad idea of what those guys were speaking about. So I just started watching seminars, started purchasing books, and now 6 years later, I've decided to come before my community and offer them what I think is one of the biggest things that we're missing out on, which is education on the human biology as it pertains to us. So while I watch you guys talk about history and somehow ancestral history, you know, it just the correlations I seen while I'm studying the body in a whole different light to what you guys do was just amazing. And so now I come before you to bring a different perspective, a different understanding of health, like many of us are doing throughout the community. But I just want to offer a different angle. So my fight in this revolution or this liberation of our people is actually, you know, regardless of what you believe right now, is knowing who we truly are, knowing ourselves. So that's my fight. And yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you all again for being a part of this. This is truly going to be something that people can appreciate. We have lots of views already, and people tuned in to hear what you all have to say. As I have already preempted you guys with the preliminary question that's going to take this conversation where it may lead, we're all being open here. And please be true to yourself when answering these questions. But I will first start with Jamin on the question: what is it that you believe in order to move black people forward? What do you think needs to happen first?
For me, I feel the first thing that we need to move us forward is one, unity, to come together. To two, before we move forward, we also need to take a couple of steps back within ourselves and outside of ourselves to look at how we want to move forward, and kind of look at what was already laid before us, the foundations, the teachings um, that have already came before us, that our ancestors have already provided that work, and go back. When I say take those steps back, it's going back to that knowledge that we lost. Um, African philosophy is Ubuntu, which is I am because we are. It's a basic concept of humanity in Africa, um, which I think we need to go back to heal. uh, our identity of who we are, and understanding that we all are, um, and we are all things. So that's part of it to start.
All right, my thoughts are I feel as though as the black race, we first need to go back to the root of the problem, go back to the root of what caused us to get in this predicament to begin with as a people. First off, we gotta have a revolution starts in the mind. So we have to repair the mind and know how we got indoctrinated with the slave mentality to begin with. And there's some good books I recommend, like a book by Dr. Naeem Akbar called Know Thyself, where he breaks down like how to um, know yourself, not just from your individual self, but how you surround yourself, your surroundings, and also how you connect with your ancestors and so forth. Also, we need a re-education of the mind after we deprogram ourselves from the slave mentality. We also need to reprogram our minds with our scholars such as Dr. John Henry Clark or Dr. Bobby E. Wright or Dr. Amos Wilson or other scholars that have laid down the framework and the blueprint for us to follow. So I feel as though we need to get back to those teachings and instructions, get back to their tutelage so we can move our race forward. And then once we get the teachings and actually follow the framework that they left us, then actually start applying and actually start implementing some of those techniques to move our race forward. So that's my solution to the race problem that we face in this country.
Islam gratitude. Grand measures to both you brothers, man. That's awesome, and that's both all those measures that y'all said. Those are very important. To start off with, knowledge of self. I have to say, I really have to say, knowledge of self is the number one thing that we have to know. But because how could you know what potency you have or what the flower is if you don't know what the seed or where the seed came from? You know what I'm saying? So education of self, but before you have to know who you are, you have to purify what you learn. You have to re-educate yourself. You know what I'm saying? You have to go in within and learn, and not only knowledge of self, of your history or your roots, but you got to have total knowledge of self, the higher self and the lower self also. Because again, we always hear people say, seek thy faith of the gracious face of God. But within knowing ourselves, you have to know the lower self as well, which is the self that, where all the hatred and the lewdness and all of the bad things that come from that part. And once you circumscribe that within the bounds of righteousness, you'll be able to ascend to a high knowledge of self. So with that being said, you have to unlearn everything you learned because you know it was a lie, for one. And then two, re-educate yourself with knowledge of self, because once you know who you are, you'll know what God you serve. You'll know what your culture is. You'll know the Marcus Garvey said, once a man has knowledge of self, he becomes the master of his own environment, the captain of his own ship, the ruler of his own destiny. So again, knowledge of self and where you can go. Islam.
I really want to piggyback off of what Big Bro Moscow said, because knowledge of self is exactly what I believe we've been stripped of. When we talk about acting in a autonomous nature, being able to name ourselves, being able to uh, have our own institutions that are catered to us. See, my biggest issue is us understanding what culture is, right? See, culture to me was a self-preservation method, right? And so what we did was, while I'm studying this human body, I'm digging into that. I feel like our ancestors knew that there were certain things, certain differences amongst us, and so we kind of formed this self-preservation way of, okay, we may not go deep into the sciences of knowing that every cause, every red blood cell, the name of every internal anatomy, physiology, we may not know these things, but we have a culture built where, like I posted about the sun, right? So we have a culture where we pay reverence to the sun. Now, once you learn in biology all of the important things that the sun does for us, right, then you can see how our cultures were embedded in truth, embedded in things that were for our physical well-being, right? And so I think we need to get back to knowledge of self, knowledge of science, not being afraid of knowing. It's all right to have belief systems. This is my biggest thing, to have belief systems, but to know, to study, to be able to form opinions, to be able to reconstruct history, like Moscow said, we have to kind of unlearn how we learned to tie our shoes. So that's all deeply embedded in biological processes for me, from my standpoint. Like I said, I'm here to learn y'all as far as history is concerned. But one thing I know about us as a people, we are a carbon-based people. And the one thing we're going to have to do is learn that we are here to share and cooperate, right? Carbon is the most shareable, the most cooperable element. And so it is not in us to have a competitive nature about everything. It is in us to share and cooperate. This is, and maybe one of the causes why we fell, is because of our willingness to share and cooperate. And so when I look at the world around us, knowing that everything is atoms, right? These large forms of atoms, and carbon, oxygen, hydrogen being the ones that we need the most. So if there are differences out there amongst us, amongst our nation, that we have been either stripped from knowing or it's been hid from us, we need a culture that can preserve those differences, not out of anger, not out of rage, but out of self-preservation and knowing that, hey, we have differences that need to be addressed. So to me, self-awareness, knowledge of self, waking up every day knowing that, hey, what I learned yesterday needs to be expanded on, right? And that's my thing. It's just seeking knowledge. I feel like we get enough people out here seeking knowledge, seeking truth unbiasedly. It's going to lead us back to the things that we need to get to.
Great. So that brings me to another question. And Dejan, you are here with us today. I thought that you would be great as far as your wealth of just knowledge. And you are and have always been since we went to school together a reader, educational guru. So I ask you and start this question, and you guys feel free to come in and comment as you may. But I ask you, Dejan, who are we and where do we come from?
Well, that question can be multifaceted because you know they say we come from Africa, Ethiopia to be exact, because you can go back to the Obo Kabish skull. You can also go back to they say the Lucy skull, the Lady jaw, which that goes back 2.5 million years ago. They said we come from Ethiopia, but who we are as a people, we always been a people that, like the brother said, Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. So we've always had a communal type of relationship with each other. We were never separate. We would never oh, one person is doing better than another person. We always worked as a collective, politically, economically, and socially. So I believe in a pan-Africanist socialist system where we we would share our resources. We would also, in order to move forward, we got to form a political and economic base. And in order for us to move forward as a people, we got to start, like the brothers were saying earlier, we have to start formulating institutions that are African centered, institutions that will actually instruct our youth in African ways, as opposed to the European methods that we've been passed down to for us by these European teachers that really couldn't care about our children. So I feel as though we have to build African institutions that teach African methods, that teach African ways, teach African dance and song, so we can get back to the root of who we are as a people. We are Africans, whether we are in America, whether we are in the motherland, whether we are in Central, South America, or even in the Caribbean. We are Africans. So we have to get back to that, being African as a people. And I think that will help to liberate us.
Islam, Islam. Let me come on back off of that with you as well.
All right.
Excuse me. Going back to our roots, like you said, we have to understand, before this landmass was called one, before it was Africa, before it was Europe, before it was everything, it was one continent, and that was Pangea.
Yep.
So we got to go all the way back before it was even called Africa. So
Yeah.
before we was given one thing, we was given another.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things that beliefs or people would call religious ideologies, like Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, excuse me, Confucianism. All of those things come and was named after a thought of a man. You get what I'm saying? So even not knocking Africanism or the things that we got from Africa, named after a continent, we have to understand that there was even something else that was even before then. So those names that was given, Ubuntu, like you said, I am the great I am. Who said that? Where did that concept come from? You know what I'm saying? So not one person just came up with a thought that was so infinite that our carnal minds could grasp. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to admit that's a infinite thought. So before even with the prophets, one was given this thought, another was given this thought. Even if you go back to the biblical days, Gabriel the angel went up to Moses and gave him a thought. You know what I'm saying? But what was that thought when Moses came up with the Hebrew thought? You know what I'm saying? So we have to go back to what we were given divinely by our creator. Some might say it's science, but as scientists, we go to the root ourselves. We were the United States and our kingdom, the Moroccan kingdom, stretches all the way out to the United States and everywhere else. So if Africa takes us to one country or one continent, we can't say that if everybody, man, was here and everywhere else, where did it start? And it started in Pangea. But a lot of us, forgive me for my extended thought, but a lot of us get misconstrued with where man was formed. You get what I'm saying? Because in the Bible it says Adam was the first man and he was born here. And it goes back to 6,000 years ago, right? You get what I'm saying? So when he say, let us create man, he made it, it's more than just one person when he's saying, let us create man. You get what I'm saying? So you have to think who is us, and many would say the Elohim, and that's going deeper into that. But the creator, whom I call Allah, if he made the sun and if he made day and night, he's able to make one man by himself. You get what I'm saying? So Adam and Eve didn't start with us. That was there so they can understand where they came from. You get what I'm saying? That could even go back to the big head scientist Yakub, but that's going on deeper in that. But again, like you said, starting with where do we start? And you start within. You can start with your roots. You can say what you are. You can say where you're here, but we nationally known as Moorish people in this system. We were created black. You know, we all tie back to the motherland, and we all know that create everything started with what we call Africa. So you're right about that, brother. You're right about that. Islam, that's my thought.
Yeah, I do. I want to add to that, because Dr. Benjamin made a great point, especially with starting within, which I'll get to that. But also, being with being Pangea, that's a great point. We weren't separate. We were all in one place, and there is no doubt in my mind that we did spread, all across the globe. Um, and then as land started separating, we also got attached from, our families and our traditions uh, that we originally came from. And with that, so with the thought of where we originally came from, with the land separating, just the historical and spiritual context that we're given, there is still no doubt in my mind that that place or Garden of Eden um, is in Africa, and that the original man or the first men came from Africa, especially being light beings um, and people from the sun. You have to look at places where the sun is most radiant and where the sun is going to shine all day. Places where we would uh, be best to survive, and that is the motherland. I don't believe it's called the motherland for just no reason or coincidence. I don't particularly believe in coincidence. So I do believe that is the land that birthed uh, people and African people. Also, looking at us being light people and being within, going back to that, we have to start looking within. And if we look within this earth, knowing the earth's core being, the hottest place in this earth, um, even hotter than the sun, knowing the stories, the mythos where Adam or tomb was created from the ground, and knowing um, how nature will naturally push out, precious diamonds from the earth's core through levels of the ground. Um, so I would say that we would have to have come somewhere, definitely in Africa and close to the equator. And even historically, you'll see our tribes and our empires, or to say our kingdoms, started strongly and kind of spread out through places that were close to the equator that are now known as Kenya or Congo, the Somali people, the Gabon people, or Uganda, and that's pretty much any person could direct uh, their origin back to those places.
Brother, that's a good point. Um, like you said, when we started out in Pangea, that means we all had one thought. We had one thought. Since we all came from the same source, we had one thought. But what was that thought? And what was those laws that we went by that we were given divinely? Remember, we were given divine laws that ruled our people at that one time, which was love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. The first law that was given was love, because that's what our creator is. No matter what everybody, a lot of people have different thoughts of who their God is. Our carnal minds and our finite thinking, we serve a one God today, and tomorrow we'll serve another God. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, like, we had that one thought. That one thought was love, and with that love came peace. So, and if that first way of dialect of talking with each other was peace, and that first tongue that we were speaking was Arabic, that would be Islam. And that's not a religion, that's a way of life. If we're bringing everything back to the beginning of life, or the beginning of what it was, because Islam is law. That's peace. Islam is what our Father brought us, and to submit to that peace and that will that our Creator gave to our people, that makes you a Muslim. You get what I'm saying? So no matter what titles and everybody put on everything, it is what it is in the way that it started. After peace, the opposite of peace is chaos, and that's what others brought. So when we had that great earthquake that split the continents up, if we're brothers today and we're side by side, and all of a sudden the land splits like that, are we not still cousins? But some
Yeah,
way, as
still
time
family.
goes by, um, other cultures, people started dealing in cultures that wasn't normal to us. Our fall from grace. We started falling from what we knew was love, truth, peace, and freedom amongst ourselves, which caused the chaos we brought in what we call that lower self that we call Satan, not the color, but Satan in your actions. So when we started acting in different ways in different cultures that was not familiar to the ways that was given to us by our creator, we started falling from the grace of him. See, as at one point, as you said, Jayden, let me bring you back to it. You said we have to go within. Everybody says go within. Everything that you need, you go within. What's within? What is within? What? See, our bodies
Yeah.
are just a vessel. It's just a vessel. No matter what it is, it's science. It's just a vessel, like you said. We fell from grace. We took on land. We took on the flesh and the fleshly garbs because of science, like you say. We took on the fleshly garbs so we can deal in the ethers of the earth. So there is a flesh, but what's driving that flesh? What's in that flesh? What's in there? What's in that heart that's driving that? You got to have a spirit. You got to have a fire that's lighting that, and everybody has one spirit. If we all came from one creator, that creator put himself in everything he created, we're all one through that creator. So that one spirit is driving every vessel that's walking this earth. You get what I'm saying? So when you go within, you're talking to that spirit that's dealing with that vessel. So he's telling you who you are, because everything that you need to go within or to be successful was already within you. So you don't need to go outside of your culture or anybody else to tell you what you need. You have to go within, but we so far lost from our creator that we had to have directions on getting back. Hence the brother with the help. Hence the brother telling us about self-determination, Dejan. You get what I'm saying? African panism. Jane, like you telling us with that history that we all need to know. Well, where did you come from? You know what I mean? Just like you said with that African panism, that self-determination was part of a character that we was given by our creator. And somewhere we lost that self-determination. It was broken.
Right.
It was broken to do for ourselves, to be in that one unifying thought that keeps us together as one person. But somewhere, somehow, something came in and split us up as the masses. One little thought. So what you do is you take the masses and you break them down so you can conquer them as a minority. And that's what's going on. We going over here acting like other people, not knowing who we are, we forgot. And the more we act like them, we fall farther away from the grace that we had. We tore ourselves from our Creator. He didn't let us go. You know what I'm saying? So us as carnal people, we have to get back to it. And it's going to take teachers like each and every one of y'all to teach our people, but we have to be patient. We have to be patient, very patient, because our Creator was patient with us and letting us come this far along and going through everything that we went through, that fire, to be able to teach the things that we're teaching, brothers. And that's real.
And also, I want to piggyback on what you said when we come to self-determination.
We don't say piggyback, we say camelback. We rolling that camel. We ain't no pigs.
I don't need swine either.
Have the words to
yeah, hey, you a king.
Either. So I feel what you say. But like I was saying, I want to like just add on to what you're saying, like self-determination, getting back to who we are as a people within ourselves. We also gotta start loving ourselves as a people. We gotta have that self-love too, because it seems as though we try to imitate our oppressor a whole lot to the point where we feel as though we are inadequate as a people unless we take on the ways of the oppressor. So we got to get back to the way of how we are as a people. We got to get back to defining who we are based on our own terms, based on our own instructions, based on our own spiritual system, based on our own language. We got to get back to who we are as a people instead of trying to rely on the oppressor to give us what we need to function as a people. So we got to get back to the way. We got to get back to our own history, like teaching us based on African thought, teaching us based on like who we are as a people. So we definitely got to get back to that.
We are our ancient forefathers without a shadow of a doubt.
Word.
So if your forefather was a warrior, that's who you are. If your forefather was a royalty, a king or a queen, that's who you are. Because right now, our people have been taught that our history started in the United States as slavery, and that's far from it. But if you allow your enemies to teach your children who they are, then you're going to get what they give you. And it all starts right here. Like you say, the programming. So again, it's going to take each and every one of us getting on that same page and teaching the same principles to uplift our fallen humanity, because regardless of what they said, they're dead. And the dead can't raise the dead no matter what they say. So if they're dead thinking, if they're using dead titles, then they can't give life to words. They don't have the spirit to give life to what's needed to raise them dead. They don't have the master grip, as those Masons would say. Because how are you a mastermind? You don't even know who you are or where you came from. You know what I'm saying? So right now, I'm talking to 3 or 4 masterminds. Masterminds who know, and that's where it starts, man. Reprogramming and re-education. That's dope, man. Honest to you brothers, man. Honest to you brothers, man.
Honor to you, bro, for real. I'm trying to share my screen because it's something I want to go over while we on this topic of ancestry, because our people left us something, and these things can be proven with modern science. One of the reasons why I disassociated with myself from particular religions is because I feel like truth is universal. Truth will present itself everywhere. And so if I leave and this is true, I'll be back. And so what I did was I said, I'm going to study this body. That's one thing we all got in common. And whichever one of these religions, whether it's the Islamic religion, I know you say it's not a religion, and that's one that I've been studying, that I see the correlation to the human body, the human health is mostly correlated with. with all the
That's
religions going on, I wanted to be able to come to someone who is lost and speak to them and give them practical things that they could do. And then if I could attach that to a culture, right? Like
mhm.
what you got going on, Dr. Benjamin. If I could attach that to a culture or to what we call a religion and see that these things were built around the knowledge of self, around the knowledge of our DNA, around uh, the knowledge of our particular body's working, then I knew that that could be one that we could use to be applicable to lead our people. So when we talk
Mhm.
about ancestors, what I look at is DNA. So I wanted to pull up. Let me see if I can show screen.
That's amazing what you said about religion, because if we think that religion was given to the Europeans for their earthly salvation, for the things that they've done to the people of the world, our people was given spirituality and divinity because we're come from a spirit. So that's not a religion. Divinity and spirituality is what our people give, and divinity means you've gotten this knowledge straight from the divine source, from the source of knowledge. So we must know those. And you're right. And Islam is not a religion. It's, again, means peace in Arabic, and that's a way of life, and that's law.
I appreciate it. Y'all give me one.
But again, we have to be very careful when we're dealing with religion and our people, because that's what they've been given for their earthly salvations. That's their foundation. So Christianity is what we've been given it, that in their system, that keep our people thinking that there's better life in heaven when they die, and we have to rechange their mind, their thinking of the right way to think when you're living right here, man. So when we deal with them, we got to give them two apples and be very careful. There you go, your screen on there.
Okay. So when we're talking about ancestors, and we're battling this thing, I want to bring some realization with all of this is real, and we're learning so much, and it's just amazing when we talk about these things because understanding this right here is what our bodies are made of. These cells combine and they cooperate to make tissues. Those tissues cooperate to make organs. These organs, they combine and they have different functions. So when we talk about a nation or a body coming together, the body is a perfect example of what needs to be done. You know, when you look at how you have different cells inside of your body that perform different functions, uh, they come together. And when we visibly are speaking and are talking, this is an intricate organ system that is working together. This is what I meant by sharing and cooperation. And so what I want to do is I want to explain a little bit about this cell, because we have trillions of these cells and each one uh, has a function. And going into what Dr. Benjamin said, how these things are built has some extra terrestrial influence. Being the sun outside of this world, we have some influence and we can prove it. So here we got a cell. Inside of this cell, you have a bunch of what we call an organelles that perform functions. Inside of it, in the middle, you have a nucleus. You should be able to see where it says nucleus. Inside of that is what our ancestors left to us. This is DNA. This is the information that makes you who you are. And so I always give the analogy: if you ordered a desk, a mahogany wood desk. Let's say you ordered 5 different mahogany wood desks. Each would come in a mahogany wood. It would be made of the same materials, but each one would come with a different instruction manual. This is our DNA. Our DNA can be likened to the instruction manual. This is what's going to decide what you look like, how you act, who you are. So the importance of culture is because a lot of us share the same genetic reality, the same ethnogenetic reality. So if we know that inside we have instructions left from our creators, our parents, and they have those same instructions from their parents, if our history has been wiped away, our history of how we ate, the history of how we lived. If we don't understand these things, then we don't know how to protect this DNA, how to protect our bodies. And so this DNA, what is so magnificent about it is that it is trapped inside this nucleus, because this is your lifeline. This is the instructions of everything. It cannot leave the nucleus. And so what it does is it transcribes itself into what we're calling RNA, messenger RNA. And so this messenger RNA leaves the nucleus and forms with another organelle here called a ribosome, or in us, we'll call it a melanosome, because we have melanocytes. So this melanosome, what it does is it forms what we're calling proteins, right? From all of the amino acids that are floating around, the instructions from the DNA forms our proteins. So the question that I had, that I figured out, is that this DNA, where's this? Who influences that? Your parents create it, but there's few things that influence your DNA. Perception, sunlight. One of the things that sunlight does, it has a role in gene expression in the startup of that transcription process that I was speaking of. And so the importance of culture to me, the importance of linking up with you guys and studying all these various things, is to know what my people did in the past, so that I can know where I came from on a literal, I need to live, I need to survive basis, based off of health, based off of listening to health advice from other doctors. I need to know that you're taking into account where I came from, my geographical location, my ancestors' location, my ancestors' makeup. And this is where the health disparities come from in our community, is that it's not getting taken in account. And it starts with us not being inside of a culture, not having the ability to act in an autonomous nature. So when we say, some people get offended when you talk about subjects like this, and it's sad, but I grew up not feeling comfortable or feeling like I may be pushing the race button, asking these questions. And we grow up in a culture like this. And so here, like I said, this is the basic building blocks of everything. Now, how does a cell form? Below that, you have molecules, and before that, you have atoms. You have carbon, you have oxygen, you have hydrogen that form these molecules that, again, form these cells. But the basic premises that I'm trying to get to is, when you guys are talking about things that may be debatable, right? About, people may have questions about who we really are, where we're from. What we can go into as scientists is that we know that DNA is different. We know that every study that comes out separates the findings based on race and your genetic makeup. And so this is something that I like to, this is kind of my way. And again, you kind of see, this is what I'm doing, is trying to correlate what we are calling customs, culture, religion. I want to correlate it to something practical for our people, where I can give sound advice and come to my people that are lost or may not, be where we are at in this knowledge, or even seeking the truth, for them to be able to say, listen, I can give you something based on science, based on health, that is going to allow you to succeed now, that is going to benefit you now. And then I can come back and say, well, listen, these things were embedded in our cultures from the start. This is the reason for the Ankh, why our people, put the images of the Ankh on the pyramids, is because they knew about something called the gonadotrophin hormones, which you breathe in, right? They knew the relationship of the environment and how it had influence on our nervous system, how it had influence on our pineal gland, right? So our senses have an effect on DNA. what we perceive to be true, what we perceive to be right, has an influence on our DNA. So one of my beliefs is that if we can get a basic understanding, a basic knowledge of what's going on inside of a cell, what's going on inside of our body on the microscopic level, on the unseen. I know the Bible talks about all of the unseen battles that we fight. These are one of this is what I like to, believe these were allegory sayings. Like, listen, you need to look at the things that are affecting you that you can't see. And so biology is definitely one of the things I think we need to tighten up on.
Also, I wanna ask you a question. Have you ever read Elijah Muhammad's book, How to Eat to Live?
No, I haven't. I have not read that, but everyone that I speak to refers that book. Again, I'm definitely going to read it because this is where a lot of people get their start. They tell me, look, you read how to Eat to Live. But no, I haven't. I have not. Like I said, I was following Dr. Savy, Dr. Layla Africa, and there's a host of other people. I don't just follow Black doctors. We go around and I meet with people, and they always say, yeah, they stole our culture, they stole our information, they're hiding our information, and then nobody wants to listen. Chinese man still send people to school in America. The Indian man still send their kids to school in China. So we have to be able to open our eyes to all information and see where truth is. Because, like I said, if I go all around the world, I can see from what people tell me about how to eat to live, that is right on par with truth. You know what I'm saying? No, I haven't read it. I'm gonna get to it, bro.
Brother Dejan, that book you say Elijah Muhammad, right?
Yeah.
Elijah Muhammad was a prophet in the Moorish Science Temple.
He sure was, with him and Fard Muhammad, from what I read.
They learned it from Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He gave us our diet as well as the Quran. Genesis gave us our diet. Only thing that's gonna preserve our bodies coming from the earth. So again, that was part of the law. God gave us the herbs of the earth to heal our body and to survive off of. But he gave us dominion over the beast and the flocks of the world. And dominion does not mean to go eat them as you really choose. That means you are there to protect them.
Yeah, and so one thing, how we find truth in that was my point of bringing up the DNA. One of the hazards in eating other animals is that those animals go through this same protein synthesis process, right? So people say, we need protein. You don't need to consume protein. Your body produces protein. What I just spoke about, transcription and translation, that is the protein process, or what we're calling a protein. I might go a little deep on that. But so when you say, we weren't meant to eat meat, that meat, when you eat meat, this animal has went through the process of how its ancestors told it to grow. It has that same information. So when you eat this meat, you're taking on its hormones, its emotions, and the reason why they tell you protein takes a long time to break down is because your body is going to break it down to the simplest molecules. It's going to break it down to those carbon, hydrogen, oxygen molecules and try to form it itself, right? So our job, the reason why we eat is because we have the instruction manual inside, right? We have the elements, and we got to add elements. So we don't need any protein that was already put together or some pill that was manufactured. We need the elements inside of our body, and our ancestors left us with the rest of the answers. And this is evident because of all of the health disparities that come with eating meat, the parasites that come with eating pork. So when I was growing up, this is funny. People, you always heard Muslims don't eat pork, and we ate pork, not knowing like we wasn't in this life, but when you grow up and you learn that pigs don't have sweat glands, right? And you learn that they have the highest amount of parasites. And then you learn that those parasites can bind to your central nervous system and control your thoughts, right? So when you hear all these old teachings talking about, us battling things seen and unseen, it's just like, what are we talking about here? We really talking about things that our ancestors may have been living and put it in a way for even a child to understand, or like I said, to self-preserve, even not knowing this, this information to a certain level of, breaking down the cells and breaking down the DNA. So, yeah, when you talk about not eating meat, that's
The
something that
dead,
you can prove.
the dead can't raise the dead, so you can't have lively thoughts because everything is spirit. You if thou shalt not kill in the golden cord that binds us is love, how could you sit there and eat life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you said, brother, we made out of the same things that stars are made out of. We're star seeds, especially
Oh
with
yeah.
that carbon, like you said.
Star.
Um, where does pigs come from? Pigs are a mix of rats and another animal. So they're man-made. So you definitely don't want to eat that with those parasitical things. And again, that was one of the covenants that we make. And I keep referring back to the Bible because that's what our people were raised off of. They can't comprehend another thought. So we have to meet them where they are. So again, we have to use their Roman laws to show them the way out. And again, Jesus used that Bible to bring them to the glorious light. But that Bible was not that glorious light. It was that Quran again. But our diets were given to us by law, and thou shalt not kill, and I have not killed as a law in the Mayat. So you're definitely on with that, man. And again, it said we were born into sin and shaped in iniquity. And Nick, born into sin again was our skin color because you came from a perfect thought from the Creator, so you can't be tainted as you come out. Period. But shaped in iniquity come from us amalgamating in the cultures of the other people that's not ours, meaning eating their food too. So
Yeah.
you definitely have to pay attention to that. You are what you eat. Ain't that what they say?
You are. Yeah. You
You
are.
are what you eat. So grand measure with that, brother.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
well, and this is definitely a great build, especially starting with the cells when we're talking about, education of ourselves, where we come from or what we're made of. Every living thing is from a cell. Has a cell. I'm sorry, but one of the things my brother and I kind of started saying in high school was I love myself, and it's MyCellF, and just understanding that we started as a cell and we are connected to every other living cell, and
Mm,
that's one thing that the science of that. That's one thing that religion under. Uh, I guess religion. Can't think of the name for it, but kind of steals in a way the truth of that science because uh, we know being a self and how those things work, and everything inside a cell has to work together. And so these religions come about and ultimately have us working against ourselves. Our diets have us working against ourselves. The things that we eat cause trauma on the brain, and uh, in response to that has caused trauma in our life experiences and the way that we act and react to things. Uh, Another thing with that, with bringing up that cell, if you look into it, the ribosomes. One of my things, just looking at that spirit connection to science and spirituality, is Adam and Eve and how they say Adam gave Eve one of his ribs or to form a woman, and one of the uh, key jobs of the ribosome is to chain up and link with RNA and basically to provide you with those powerful proteins, that are essential for life. So us knowing ourselves, that we started as cells and that we are all cells, need to come together and see how we can link up and give so that we can pull each other in, uh, and work together. Ultimately, what I'm saying, to work together as a unit.
And I want to add to that because when we're talking about cells and we're talking about health in our body, I feel though that's one of the mechanisms that they use in the plantation against black people, feeding us an unhealthy diet. I mean, they gave us the worst part of the pig, the chitlins, to eat, and we've turned it into a delicacy, not realizing the harmful effects that it does to our body. And that goes along with the health establishment, the medical establishment, the school system, the criminal justice system. All of those institutions are created to keep the European on top and to maintain their dominance. Now, I want to read something out of an excerpt out of The Falsification of African Consciousness, Eurocentric History, Psychiatry and the Politics of White Supremacy by Dr. Amos Wilson. And he has said on page 25, we have to recognize that European history writing is an institution the way any other discipline is an institution. And the function of institutions in any oppressive society is to maintain the status quo. I don't care what institution we may talk about, whether we talk about the family institution, the criminal justice institution, the economic institution, the religious institutions, the health establishment, the educational institution. They all have one thing in common in a Eurocentric oppressive system: to maintain the status quo and to maintain African people in oppression. We must keep this in mind. It is not so much what they say or don't say they represent. It is how they function that is of importance. The European writing of history is in tandem with everything else European, and its purpose is ultimately the same: to maintain European power and domination. So any type of institution that the European has established means that it's going to keep us subjugated. It's going to keep us under their subjection, under their jurisdiction. So any type of system, whether it's the diet or whether it's the religious institutions or the criminal justice institution, all those institutions are designed to keep them in power and to keep us downtrodden and oppressed.
That's facts, man. And when you think about it, just knowing thyself from the beginning, just from wanting to preserve yourself, it's in any nation's best interest to set up your society in benefit of you, right? So that's why I don't even approach this. You know, I deal with different levels of this. Kind of, you have this angry stage where you want to be goes against. But when you get down to the root of it, any person logically is going to set up for your lineage, for your people, and the people like you to survive. So you would set your culture up like that. And so this isn't, and even with this platform, I want to get to a point where we look at it like we need our own institutions because we're being left out of the studies. Because the people that make up 78% of the country are doing what they need to do to preserve who they are. They get to, they have different molecules. And so if we were taken into captivity, slavery, I like to say prisoner of war, because I'm not going to believe that it went down without a fight. It had to be some type of war, so I say prisoners of war. We lost something, whether it was through diet, biological warfare, what we're looking at now. But at the core of it, man, is getting anger out the way. Because see, when you're in an angry state, right, your nervous system starts pumping your adrenal glands, and we get the same effect without eating anything bad. When you're in this angry mode, we can't really fight when we angry. We can't think. We can't move effectively, right? So I'm saying all that to say this isn't about hate. This is about self-love. If anybody finds it offensive for you to say, listen, I need a school not that say they're black. I need a school that is talking about the biological differences in a black boy and a black girl. I need a school that say, I need the black kids to sit by the window because y'all need way more sunlight. I need them to be able to say, listen, y'all can't eat this. Your ancestors didn't leave you an ammonia transport system like the white guy, right? We can't eat protein. We can't, there's a lot of things. Go ahead. I see you trying to chime in.
Nah, brother, you good, man.
Oh,
because,
okay.
Like, you hit it dead on, because when we develop our institutions and their system, our institution become their institutions. Anything created in the United States belongs to the United States. HBCUs were created in the United States during the Reconstruction time to give basic educations. But if you look on the history of every HBCU that's been created, it came from a Presbyterian, it came from a Catholic, it came from another school of thought that started with their religion that was given to our people. So they're not even teaching true Black history. Well, they're teaching Black history, but they're not teaching our history. Because again, as y'all probably heard me say before, Black history started in the United States. So when we started calling ourselves Black, that's when we started doing that in 1774. But again, in their system, we use that term. We use it as a term of endearment. So we definitely have to stop that, because in their system, it means death. It means property. So when your law governs everything, all events. So when we're in their system, we have to be mindful of their laws. Now, what you said, Walt, was very clever. And you too, Brother Dejan, what's Pan-Africanism? Explain that to me again.
Well, Pan-Africanism is the ultimate belief that that Africa and the diaspora has one common front of unification.
But that came from Garvey, right?
Yeah.
Garvey speaking on self-determination of our people. He telling us to get our finances to set up those 12 departments, correct?
Yeah.
But it's not to continue.
I mean, you had some people that predated Garvey with the Pan-African movement, like Edward Wilmot Blyden, and you also had Bishop Henry Manil Turner, who also
but they didn't have the voice.
Pan-Africanist
but they didn't have that voice
mindset.
of Garvey, right? They didn't have that same voice Garvey had. So, as in more science, Garvey is our harbinger. He warned the people. He told us. He stirred up the masses to let you know there's somebody coming. So what Garvey did as our forerunner, he laid the blueprint on how to survive and to create our own.
Yeah.
So what he was saying is, you create your own, you do for yourself, self-determination. Like Brother Walt say, man, we can't do that in this system. This system wasn't created for us at all, man. So how do we think we have the right to pursuit of liberty and the pursuit of happiness in a system that wasn't even created on us? We, the people of the United States, is definitely not us. And they talk about said person is not us, because if you're Black, you're not even considered a human being. So you definitely would not be a person that they speak of. So our salvation and our ability to do all those liberties that we want to do under our own vine and fig tree will be under our very own government. That we don't have to leave or take on no water, because the Confederate Army and the Confederate States didn't either. And the preamble of the Declaration of Independence, they gave you your remedy to create your own and dissolve theirs. So we definitely have to be mindful and learn their laws also while we're in their system. Like our Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, take on that good European education and come back and use that to do your own. Learn what they got to give you, all the good things that they've done in their system, and come imitate it in your own system. But in our systems, we get to wear our noble ranks as kings and queens and noblemen and all that. See, the United States don't recognize that, because we're in their system. Their system, their laws, they change them every day with amendments. So one day you might be free as a Black man, the next day they'll change that thing up on you so you can keep them slaves in there. That Black's Law Dictionary is very important, man, because they speak in legalese. They speak in Latin, which turns into Greek, which are spells. And we going in there talking in English. Come on, man. You can't play chess with Monopoly rules. So why keep playing their games, man? Why keep playing poly tricks? And you said our emotions kill us, man. But see, you can't have emotions with them evil people, because they only deal in hate. See, when they walked up to us on the land, we was like, how? Peace and love, brother. But they stuck that thing up to our face. You get what I'm saying? And we still love them. We the most forgiving people in the world.
Sharing
We'll
and
forgive them for
cooperation.
everything they've been doing, man. Everything they've been doing because we're all with love, but we won't forgive ourselves. But we won't forgive ourselves. Wow. I forgive you for everything you've done to my mama, my sister, my cousins, my aunts, raping them and keeping me broke. But I won't forgive myself for a thought I had in an unconscious state of mind. Wow.
Gentlemen, you guys join us again next Thursday at 7 p.m. to continue on with this conversation, have and use the communication that we have the ability to do, and continue to spread this wealth and knowledge and this energy overall. But I do want to ask you all, from what we have discussed tonight, for those who are still tuned in with us and watching, what do you want people to take from tonight and actually be able to dig into over the next week?
Islam, in the beginning of the word, it say, know thyself. So again, know who you are. Study yourself. And when you're done studying yourself, study yourself some more. Study yourself some more. And when you begin to study yourself, you'll fall in love with yourself, and you'll recognize the fire that's lighting your altar, that's driving your vessel. You get what I'm saying? And when you and I urge everybody to purify your heart and your mind before you listen to your brothers or deal with anybody else in the world. You must first purify your heart and fill it with love, because with love comes truth, peace, and understanding of each other. Because if we're all bound by one cord, and I look at you and I know that God is within you, and because He created everything in the world, how can I hate you? You my brother. I should always want you to build up in everything you do, because if you win, I win. So we must first lead with love, and know that I love each and every one of y'all. I might not like the things that you do, but I love you because you're a God. Now stand up, Lazarus, and be who you're supposed to be. Islam?
All right, all right. Well, I want to lead to the people, like the brother was saying, we need to know thyself. I mean, we got to tap into ourself, our physical self, our mental self, our spiritual self. We got to tap into ourselves and know who we are. We also got to forgive ourselves too, like the brother was stating earlier. We got to forgive ourselves for the wrongs that we might have done to other people. I mean, we have to forgive ourselves. I mean, before anybody else going to forgive us. So we got to love ourselves before anybody else can love us. I mean, you have to study and know thyself. I mean, not just with your individual self, but knowing your history and knowing where you come from. So what leading up to next week, I would like 5 people to actually start studying self, start studying where we come from and studying our history, studying our legacy as a people. So once we study that legacy as a people, we can progress and move forward and know what we got to do to get our people back on track and to liberate and to free our minds, soul, and to free us physically as well. So that's the message I wanted to send out leading up to next week.
The message I want to get out is what we showed was evident today, is that we are the most sharing and cooperative people. And we have to get back to sharing information, because since the beginning, we came together as small molecules to get intelligent, to become more intelligent. That's all this is about. These single atoms came together to have more intelligence, to be able to form molecules. Then those molecules came together to be more intelligent, to build strong, to build a cell. Then these cells said, all right, it's 1,000 of us around each other. Let's build, let's share what we do. And we came together and made tissues. Those tissues came together intelligently. I need you, you need me. You got some things that I can. Everybody brought something to the table and they made organs. And the organs did the same thing and said, look, I'm going to pump the blood. The liver and the kidney said, I'm going to filter it. And all of these other mechanisms, these 12 systems that we got came together to make for self-preservation, right? Each one had individual self-preservation in mind and knowledge of self, knowing what it was capable of doing. And we combined to become more intelligent to what we see today. And so going into next week, the importance of being able to take in new information. This is a wave of so much information that's available. We're not the say y'all be all to everything. More people that want to come in, chime in with more information. This is about sharing. This is about becoming intelligent by cooperating, because everybody got something to offer. Come to the table with some information to offer. Let's build a nation. Let's have the platform ready, whatever we want to call it, and But that's what I want to take away from it is let's cooperate. Let's be the carbon-based people we are.
Absolutely. I definitely second, third, and fourth everything that was said. Top priority is to know thyself, and knowing that is to know that you know nothing. So we need to really focus on building our education and our knowledge, uplifting our intellectuals, bringing a camaraderie like we did tonight, uplifting one another, not allowing to be done to us what was done to, Booker T. Washington and W.B. Du Bois or Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, to try to discredit each other because at the end of the day, we all coming forth bringing facts and encouragement to uplift our people. So with that, what every person needs to do is really look as the tables are turning, is look at what you are bringing to the table, and stop flexing with this false identity of black power, because we have no power. We don't have the power to do anything. We only have the responsibility and we have the birthright to do what's right for us. So I encourage everyone to look at what they're bringing to the table, financially, uh, what you're spreading out to your family, spreading across wealth to the table, the food that you're bringing to your table. Definitely, diet is important. The mentality and the mindset that you bring to your council, to your round table in your home, and definitely be positive, be loving, and be caring. That's what I believe.
Hey, peace and love. Hey, can I let me leave one thought, man. I hate to bogart it, but we have a thing called the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation, and as we know, we are Asiatics. It start off, ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brother, that peace and happiness may dwell in the Father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity. And prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Man, that's a covenant right there, man. That's a covenant.
Thank you guys. Thank all of you. These are all kings. These are all kings that are with us tonight. These are doctors. These are our future, researchers, our lawyers, I already said doctors, but our powers at B are right here in front of us. And this is what we are witnessing, a change, a complete change in our atmosphere. I had the thought the other day that it's definitely time to stop texting and putting this through a comment box. It's time to actually put a live to this, um, and actually allow people to see this on a platform. So to everyone who was watching, if you do feel as though that you would like to join this discussion for next week and the weeks coming, every Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m., we will be here and to have a live discussion about the real things that impact us from day to day, the real threat that is out here, the targets that are on our backs, and how we can overcome them and continue to move forward. With love and peace, I tell you all good night and thank you so much for joining us.